Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about Gryphons feats. I've played with Gryphon for a good amount of time. He's been out for a good amount of time as well. I got into Rep 7 last night. I've got a good amount of experience on him and I want to talk about what I think are probably his strongest things in 4v4s anyway. For duels you can say what you want about him, but for 4s I've kind of noticed how strong his feats are, especially if they're stacked with multiple Gryphons. Now, in this video I want to explain some changes slash nerfs that Ubisoft could possibly do to make it so these things aren't quite as much of a nuisance, especially the third one. I'll get into the Draconite bolt soon, because that is it's really strong. But I want to go through each of the different feats and say what I think about them and what my suggestions would be for nerfs or changes, but probably more nerfs if anything. Right, so the first feat, Stern Stare, lowers an enemy's attack. I think it's about 25% reduced. I think it's definitely not 50, but I think it's roughly enough. 25% reduced enemy attack damage. For a first feat, that's quite strong. For a first feat, that's strong already. But the problem with that I find is the cooldown. The cooldown is only 45 seconds. Now, getting that at the start of the game means that in a team fight, if there's a Shinobi or an Orochi or something, and you put Stern Stare on them, they might as well not even be there. They're bad enough characters as it is, but if you put it on one of them in a team fight, they might as well just leave, because they're not going to contribute anything. If you put it on another Gryphon, he'll be fine, it will still be fine, his damage is good enough. Or if you put it on like a Raider or something, it will still be fine. Sorry, it will still be fine, but the cooldown is only 45 seconds. What I would change with this is kind of just the cooldown. The amount of damage reduction is fine, the amount of damage reduction is okay. Maybe reduce it down to like 20%, maybe, if they want to be like extra hard on it. But what I would suggest is, because it's 45 seconds, I suggest that we maybe bring it to a minute, maybe a minute and 20 seconds. No, about a minute and 15 seconds, I think, is like a good amount, because it's still a tier 1 feat, it's still going to recharge pretty quick. So I think they should probably add that, or at least something close to that anyway, maybe at a minimum a minute. I don't think they should, because at least in my experience in 4s, and especially in Breach, I'm playing a lot of Breach, this thing is really strong. Alright, the second one is Draconite Mist. Now, the healing on this isn't insane. It's not going to bring you like from half health to full or anything. It gives you about like a bar and a half, I think, of health. But the thing that I found strong about this, if I'm the only Gryphon on the team, is the radius and again the cooldown. I feel like the cooldown is too short on it. But going back to the first point of the radius that this thing heals is, in my opinion, way too large for how much utility this can actually bring to a team fight. Because the amount of heals might not seem very good, like at first glance. The heals might not seem great, because it's like, oh, it's only a bar of health. But that bar of health could save an enemy, a teammate, if they're in a gank or something. If they're 2v1ing and you happen to pop that could save them from a heavy or a light. Like, it could save them and it could give them revenge. That and the fact that you can activate it from fucking halfway across the map, pretty much, is way too good. I mean, in Breach, if you're trying to capture the rampart, like, you can cover an entire sector and you'll be fine. Especially if you stack these with Gryphon. If you stack multiple Gryphons with Draconite Mist, you're basically getting at least half health back. With like 3 of you, you're gonna get half health back. With 1 more, you probably get about 60%-ish. That's way too good for a tier 2 feat with a minute and 30 second cooldown. Well, it's about a minute and 29.48, but I just ran it up to a minute and 30 seconds, because I'm assuming that's what Ubisoft's going to do. I propose we bring it to about 2 minutes. I think it is at a max, I think 2 minutes. Again, I know it's still a tier 2 feat, so it's going to recharge relatively quickly, but I think 2 minutes is fine, especially with the amount of utility that it gives the team. Maybe a minute 50. It's a minute and 30 now. Yeah, about a minute and 50, maybe a minute 55 if they're being at a minimum. 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes 5 seconds if they're being at a max. 2 minutes 5 seconds. That's our max. For his third feat, right? This is probably his strongest feat out of all of them. It's tier 2. It's not even the tier 4 that's the problem, or it's the biggest problem. It's his tier 3. This firebolt that deals some damage to an enemy and heals nearby allies. Some damage. Some damage, Ubisoft, yeah? Yeah, it's 30 damage. I mean, I know that's not as high as Gladiator's Trident, because Gladiator's Trident does 50 damage. But it doesn't heal enemies as well. Wait, it doesn't heal allies, shall I say. It doesn't heal, it just does damage. And the biggest problem that I find with this is that it's affected by damage boost buffs. So if you're in Revenge, then that percentage damage increase affects Draconite Bolt. Like, the damage this thing hits is 30 damage. That's stronger than Gryphons' Guard Break punish of a side heavy, which does 24. It's stronger than Warden's, it's stronger than Kensei's, it's stronger than anyone's Guard Break punish. Unless it's like you throw it off a cliff or something. And the fact that it gets affected by damage buffs is really stupid. I don't know why it's affected by damage buffs, because again, like, if you're in Breach or something and you stack the damage buff that you get, or the damage boost that's around the map, you get Revenge on top of that. This thing's hitting near 50 damage, and it's healing you for about 2.5 bars, I think it is, maybe 2 bars, and that healing goes to other players near you, and its radius is not as big as Draconite Mist, but it's massive. I feel like it needs to be cut down. So and the cooldown is 2 minutes. What? No, that's way too short, especially again in a Breach game, or I mean, a Dominion game it might not seem as strong or look strong on paper, but in Breach it's the strongest. I've been playing a lot of Breach. It's so strong because the Breach game is about 30 minutes long, about 25 minutes, and you're getting this every 2 minutes. That is, I mean, depending on the time you get it, that's not the point. The point is that the cooldown needs to be increased. For the cooldown, I think it should be 2.5 minutes. Just that's it, no less, no more. Just 2.5 minutes straight. Maybe a little bit more if they want to completely destroy it. Reduce its damage from 30 to 20. Just cut it down, or maybe 15. Just cut it in half. Cut it down to 15, because 15 is still a lot of damage. That's more than a PK light. I mean, come on. And then take away the fact that it's boosted by damage buffs. Take that away. That's not needed. It's or maybe do one or the other. Make it so its damage is reduced, but it keeps the addition to it getting boosted by damage buffs, or take away the damage buffs, the fact that it's boosted by damage buffs, but keep the 30 damage. Maybe, I don't know. The radius is fine. The radius that it heals is fine. But yeah, that's just kind of fine. That's, again, it getting stacked with Gryphons is inevitably just going to be, you almost never die in a team fight if at least 2 of you have this mixed with Draconite Mist. I mean, that means one person can get you to half health just like that. I mean, so that's kind of strong. Maybe it's way too strong. I mean, come on. But yeah, that's my opinion for Draconite Bolt. Increase its cooldown, reduce its damage, and take away the fact that damage buffs boost this thing's damage, or do one or the other. Reduce its damage, reduce the overall damage, or reduce the fact that buffs change it. Now his last one, Draconite Cleanser, is, I don't run this. The one I run is Champion's Aura, because the heal lasts longer, which means I can keep teammates in the fight for longer. I just think this is overall a bit of a better feat. But Draconite Cleanser's cooldown is about 3 minutes. I think it should be increased to 3.5 minutes. Because again, it is a tier 4. It deals damage to enemies upon an explosion. The damage is, I think it's like 25 damage for each enemy that's in it. At least I think it's 25 damage. It's not a massive amount, and it heals you and nearby team and nearby allies. Honestly, this thing's kind of fine. I don't really mind anything about this other than the cooldown maybe being a bit too short. Maybe change it to, I mean, you aren't really going to see this used over and over again much in Dominion, but again, Breach, you're going to see this used a lot, especially if there's a Gryphon doing well, and he gets like his tier 3 feat before the first gate. At the start of the second gate, he's gonna already have Draconite Cleanser already and have a full like 15 plus minutes with this thing and recharging every 3 minutes. Like that's yeah, 3.5 minutes, maybe 4. 4 seems a bit extreme, but this is Ubisoft, they can do anything. But yeah, everything's fine with this. The radius of the heal is fine. The amount it heals you is fine. The duration of said heal is fine, but it's just the fact that I feel the cooldown should be increased more to 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes. So yeah, they're my thoughts on the Gryphon feats. Let me know if you agree, if you think anything needs to be changed. I know there's probably been a lot of rambling, but hey, that's me. I don't know, I'm just saying what's on my mind at the moment. But yeah, I'm still enjoying the character, but I still think his feats are a bit too strong. But yeah, see what you say in the comments. If you agree, then it's fair enough. If you disagree, explain what you would do in the comments, so I could have a look and see what everyone's opinions are. Because I'm not really seeing a lot of people talk about this on Reddit or anything like that. I'm not really anyone talking about his feats. Everyone's moaning about how OP the character is. I don't see that personally, but no one's talking about his feats, which I think are the strongest bits about him. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you got some information out of it, and some, I was able to get you to think about his feats a little bit more. But yeah, if you enjoyed, then leave a like. If you didn't, dislike. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.